Hi, welcome to Media in the Mountains, a broadcast about media-related businesses in Vermont. I'm your host, Spencer Hobbs. My guest today is Mike Garber, the director at Esc4pe Reality Games, a premium escape room experience. An escape room is a live-action interactive puzzle game which must be completed in an allotted time period. Mike and his team have successfully crowdfunded the first room in June of 2016, right in downtown Burlington, and have been building traction with additional pop-up events and rooms ever since. Thanks for being here, Mike.
Thanks for having me, Spencer.
For my first question, I wanted to ask just what is your background like? Do you have you studied games or engineering, or is this just a passion project?
Well, actually, my background is in high-rise window cleaning, so not a direct line right into the game design world. But I did grow up in the 70s and the 80s, so I kind of came of age as the Atari 2600 was coming out. I was getting out of diapers.
Okay.
The video game sort of evolution happened sort of as I was growing up, and I definitely played a lot of video games. So if that's an education, I could say I had that one.
Who's to say? Yeah.
I actually stumbled upon escape games as a business model. I had never heard of them. Someone said, hey, you should look into this new thing that's happening called escape games. I started to do some research and realized that it was something that was growing rapidly, and I hadn't even noticed. So I did some quick research and found that there was an escape game near where I was living at the time in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I went out and played the game, and it was a lot of fun. I did a little bit more research and found out that they were growing at a kind of a crazy rate.
Yeah.
There was games popping up in every city all around the country. Almost every week there was new games opening. And I did a little more research and found out that the only state in the country that didn't have an escape game was Vermont. And since I grew up here, and I had always been thinking of potentially moving back to Vermont at some point, I said, well, maybe this is the time. Let me run back to Vermont and see if I can set up one of these new businesses in Burlington. So
I just wanted to talk a little bit about the development, and you used Kickstarter, I think.
Yes, we did.
And just getting a spot in downtown Burlington, that's pretty impressive. Can you talk a little bit about development?
Well, this whole process for me has been a huge learning experience right from the very beginning. I was sort of diving into the deep end of the pool, and I was already aware of the fact I didn't know how to swim. So the Kickstarter was just one example of me trying something out that I had really very little experience with. And the thing with Kickstarter is, it's built on social connections. And as I had mentioned, I was living in North Carolina, and I moved back to Burlington after 20 years of being away to start this. So I really didn't have those social connections that make Kickstarters work very well. So although we did successfully fund our Kickstarter, we had a really low goal, and it was substantially funded by friends and family that lived elsewhere that maybe weren't even that interested in escape games. Yeah. It was a little early on escape game awareness, especially in Vermont. Like most people, when we were first building the room, had no idea what an escape room was. They were even a little suspicious, like, well, what is this? You're going to lock people in the basement? How does that sound like fun? But although we did get a little bit of help from a few local people who did know about escape games and were excited to see that one was finally going to pop up here in Burlington. Predominantly, what happened as far as funding is the old bootstrap style, where we were all in.
Just
personally funded it. We got a lot of help from people that didn't ask for money. They just were excited to see this game sort of coming together. We were able to get some interested students from Champlain that were studying game design to come down and help. We also got some people from the Generator that were just interested in making a game or making props. So basically the way I got started was I came to Burlington, and I knew I was going to need people that could help me build this game. So I went directly to the Generator and joined, and just started talking up the idea and meeting people that had a various array of skills and had a little free time that they were willing to contribute to help me sort of put my ideas into reality, and also give me some good advice on which ideas I should probably put on the shelf until we had a little bit more experience. And so that's what happened.
Yeah, so it really was more of it's a real crowdfunding experience, more than just
financial.
Financial.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of ideas, collaboration.
Yes.
Coming together.
And I
Awesome.
think Burlington's great for that. Like,
Yeah.
just like the Burlington vibe is definitely very helpful and community oriented, and everyone
For
was
sure.
willing to pitch in, a little bit to sort of help the vision kind of become a reality.
Mm-hmm. So you would say that you don't try to design these too difficult to have them be too difficult. You're thinking about it a lot, and you're fine tuning it as you go on. Because I think you said to me that you are afraid people will think that it will be too hard or too scary going in. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So escape games are a new experiential entertainment product, you could say. And they've only really been around for the past 5 or 6 years, depending on how you look at it, in the States. So really we're just starting to learn, or people are just starting to learn about escape games, what they are, what they're not. And a lot of people right off the bat had sort of a negative impression. We've had people that are concerned that it's going to be too scary.
Yeah.
People that are concerned that they're going to have like a claustrophobic reaction to being locked in a room. And the process of people sort of becoming aware of what they are and what they're not is progressing along. There's definitely some escape games that are scarier than others. Ours tend not to be overly scary. But we also have fire codes and building regulations that keep us from doing things like actually locking people in a room or restraining them in different ways. So it's really not about physically being locked or imprisoned in a cell. The door in our escape game, the doors are actually left unlocked, and that's part of the imagination that you have to
think they're locked in.
Yes, they're only thinking they're locked in, or they're actually being sent on a mission.
Yeah.
So the game is to figure out what the mission is and then accomplish the mission. And the mission is not to get out the door, because the door is unlocked in case you need to go to the bathroom or, heaven forbid something bad happens.
Yeah.
You can always leave. But really, you're staying in the game to try to accomplish the mission.
I like that. Yeah, well, that's good. Good to get that message out there. That
It's not scary.
it's not scary. It's fun.
I will say that there are a lot of escape companies that are outgrowths of haunted house companies.
Okay.
And so they're bringing a large amount of experience with creating props that are technologically advanced, or building sets that are really engaging, and their experience being sort of more in the fright direction.
Yeah, trying to.
Definitely
purposely
comes
scare.
forward. So there are some escape games that are way more on the haunted end of things than ours. And those I would not say are not scary. I think that some of them are very scary, and they're adding the level of interaction with the participants, because now the participants aren't just walking through a scary situation. They're stuck in a scary situation until they solve a puzzle and get themselves out of the scary situation, which can be even more frightening. There's definitely a certain amount of anxiety that can be induced by the idea that you have to solve a problem in order to get through the challenge, because that changes from like scare that's going to be caused by a ghost or something saying boo, to sort of more almost like an ego thing, like, oh, my intelligence is going to be challenged and I have to like be smart enough to solve this puzzle.
Yeah.
But that's another thing we can kind of try to remove too much of that anxiety, because we're not putting there's no calculus in these rooms. There's no advanced chemistry. I mean, most of the puzzles are designed to be solvable by an average person or an average team in 3 minutes or 4 minutes of just sort of analyzing the different pieces and how they might fit together. But we stack up enough of those challenges where you have to be efficient, you have to communicate well with your team, and maybe you have to do a little out-of-the-box thinking in order to solve all of the puzzles within the 60 minutes. So most teams don't struggle too hard with any individual puzzle, but it definitely takes a good cohesive teamwork effort to accomplish everything within the time limit. So
So yeah, just we touched on it a little bit while talking, but I just wanted to ask about what you have. You have 2 rooms now. What you have in store for the future, and are you planning to just expand your one location, or maybe in the future you have dreams of having multiple escape reality game locations?
Sure. We're definitely interested in expanding. Right now, our theme is very tied into the whole hacker spy kind of an idea, and we're sort of looking for where we can take that theme as far as next rooms go. I'm also interested in exploring completely different themes, maybe something that's got more of a Vermont flair, like we've toyed around with ideas that involve maple syrup, maybe some ice cream or mountain travel, flannel, skiing. I'm not sure where we're going to go with our next themes.
Those are definitely buzzwords of Vermont.
Yeah, we'll put those all in a pot, stir it around, and see what comes out.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have. Thank you very much for coming on and talking to us. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you, Spencer. It was a nice chat.
Thanks a lot for watching Media in the Mountains. If you want to learn more about Escape Reality Games, you can go to escape.com. Stay tuned for the next episode. We got a lot of great stuff.